My dog and I are having some communication issues at the moment, and while that really shouldn't surprise me because he can't talk, I did notice that the same issues that I'm having with him I see in couples and families in my private practice. Let me explain. My name is Oliver, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I help people with communication issues. When Gogo needs something, he's very good at giving me this look. The problem is that this look could mean anything, and I have to guess which one it is. Obviously, this is not his fault because he's a dog and can't speak, but have you noticed that there are some people who say something but actually mean something different? Like the friend that asks you if you want a cup of coffee, but they're only really asking because they want the cup of coffee. Or if you're at Auntie Joan's house on Christmas Eve and you offer to tidy up and she insists that she doesn't need your help, but really she kind of does, but she's just saying no to be polite. These are people that say something but actually mean something else, and you have to sort of read between the lines. Take, for example, this message from my awesome therapist friend Neda. This literally could mean anything. Literally. I think I'm the exact opposite of this. I'm clear and direct with my words, there's no hidden meaning, what you see is what you get. Between you and me, I think relationships would be a whole bunch easier if both people were clear and direct with each other. If you imagine a conversation being like a wave, I'm basically a surfer. I'm gonna call this theory of communication wave theory. Just like a wave, you could focus on what's on the surface, like the words that we use, but also underneath the waves, sometimes there's innuendo, hidden meaning, and even body language might be in there. So in wave theory, I decided that there must be two types of people: those that live on the surface and are more direct and clear with their communication, like me, surfers, and those underneath who deal with hidden messages and implicit meaning. I called them scuba divers. So I called my friend Neda to find out what she really meant, and also to explain my new theory of communication. Neda didn't quite agree with my theory, but that might have something to do with the fact that I implied that she was a scuba diver. But we laughed and catch up, and it was great. But then I check her Instagram, and she leaves this.
Why is it that some people can never admit that they're wrong?
All of a sudden I'm in an existential crisis. I don't know if I'm a surfer or a scuba diver now. I'm looking for meaning in everything. So Neda came up with this brilliant idea, and she said, imagine a hypothetical situation in which she texts me or asks me what I want for my birthday. Now, in theory, if I was fully a surfer and clear and direct with my communication, I would reply telling her exactly what I wanted. But I would never do that. In fact, I would reply saying something very English like, oh, don't worry, you don't have to get me anything. It's more rewarding for me to not tell her, because then I get the surprise, I get to see that she's thought about me and knows me well enough to select something that I really want. So in this case, I'm going to be really indirect. Neda and I agreed that while there might be two types of communication, it doesn't seem that we're ever fully in one category or the other. No one is fully surfer and no one is fully scuba diver. We go back and forth. And my response to being asked for what I want for my birthday automatically puts me into the zone of being more of a scuba. That is because there's a context here that is really important in terms of our communication. My inner English schoolboy comes out in full force because he was trained never to be so blunt and direct and ask for something that you wanted. My background plays a part in this. The context of the person is really important to remember. Sometimes gender plays a part in it, sometimes it's our culture, and most importantly, I think it's who we're talking to. I might be very literal with an employee, but very scuba divery with a friend. Miscommunication is always going to happen then when a surfer assumes that a scuba diver means what they say, or a scuba diver starts looking for meaning in something a surfer says that isn't there. Unless we can figure out a way to identify who's the surfer and who's the scuba diver, which doesn't really seem very practical. I'm not quite sure where this leaves us, other than knowing the importance of the two types of communication and, more importantly, under which circumstances you're more likely to shift from one category to another. So there are some questions that I designed on this worksheet that might be able to help you identify when you are more direct or less direct. And the link is below.